Welcome back to Canon Freak. Today, I will show you a dramatization film from 2022, named Our Prime. Spoilers ahead. Look out and fare thee well. In the most renowned secondary school in South Korea where the 1% accumulates, Han Ji-charm neglects to fit in. He used to be the savviest understudy in his old humble school, yet here encompassed by prodigies, he is one stage from the lower part of the class, particularly in math, which is viewed as the main subject to get into school. His cohorts are rich, so they can bear the cost of mentors and training camps. However, Ji-charm is on understudy government assistance and can't manage the cost of things like this. His number-related instructor, Mr. Kim Gun-ho, reminds him these grades won't be sufficient to get into a renowned school and asks Ji-charm to consider moving. One evening, Ji-charm's flatmates give him cash so he can escape and get a few bites and liquor for everybody. Yet, returning, Ji-charm is gotten continuously monitor Lee Hak-sung. The next morning, Mr. Kim attempts to inspire him to admit who else was important for this arrangement, yet Ji-charm values dependability and remains quiet. This gets his cohort Park Bo-slam's consideration, yet in addition gets him briefly removed from the residences. After class, his flatmates attempt to give him some cash as thanks and are stunned to hear Ji-charm doesn't need it since they're companions. They examine the chance of getting late-night snacks through different courses, however this has been incomprehensible since Hak-sung began to fill in as a watchman. They consider him the commie official since he's a North Korean turncoat. Afterward, Hak-sung goes to see his PCP, who lets him know functioning as a night watch isn't really great for his well-being and depending on resting pills causes his biorhythm to be off. Hak-sung advises him that it's the main work he can get as a deserter, so except if the specialist can get him a position elsewhere, he'll take the pills. Subsequently, Hak-sung gets back to his forlorn condo, where he invests his energy taking care of his turtle, drinking strawberry milk, and doing Sudoku puzzles. The next day, Ji-charm is removed from the dormitories. Bo-slam coaxes him on out, saying she figured he could be in excess of a failure, yet it appears she was off base. After several hours, Ji-charm has gotten back to his family condo, which he cleans before his mom returns from work. She's a widow that has consistently endeavored to raise him, so she's extremely pleased with seeing her child in such a significant uniform. Not having the heart to tell her he really wants a spot to rest, Ji-charm says rather that he just stay with her and he should get back to the school before it gets past the point of no return. It starts pouring coming back, so Ji-charm attempts to conceal in the school's neglected lab, yet he's found by Hak-sung. The gatekeeper feels terrible when he hears Ji-charm doesn't have a spot to remain, so he welcomes him back to his office. While Ji-charm dozes, Hak-sung finds the exceptionally hard numerical schoolwork that Ji-charm couldn't wrap up. When the sun raises, Hak-sung kicks Ji-charm out. The kid goes to his number-related class and is stunned to find his schoolwork has been finished by Hak-sung. Not just that, every one of the responses are right. Bo-smash sees this and needs Ji-charm to show the educator, however he requests that she stay silent. After class, Ji-charm goes to say thanks to Hak-sung for the assistance and requests that he show him how to make it happen, yet Hak-sung simply throws him out once more. Afterward, in the concentrating on room, Ji-charm hears even his colleagues' confidential mentors experience difficulty with a portion of these numerical statements, which demonstrates how exceptional Hak-sung is. Ji-charm begins chasing after him, asking to be guided, however Hak-sung won't focus on him. One evening, while he's making a garbage run, Hak-sung hears the instructors discussing government assistance understudies with relentless guardians and substandard edifices, and Mr. Kim incorporates Ji-charm on the rundown. At the point when Ji-charm approaches him to request coaching once more, Hak-sung lets him know it's smarter to move and that self-indulgence isn't an identification to convey in light of the fact that it gets you focused on misfortune. Ji-charm makes sense of how furious it makes him that others can have opened doors he can't, so Hak-sung surrenders and acknowledges to coach him. He just requests Ji-charm to pay him with strawberry milk. The following day, Hak-sung visits his companion Agi Cheol, who assisted him with coming to South Korea since he fills in as Seoul's North Korean turncoat support lead. Together they play tabletop games and talk about existence, and when Ji Cheol gets Hak-sung the lights he wanted as a gift, Hak-sung demands paying for them since he didn't arrive at this country for a noble cause. At the point when dusks, Hak-sung puts the lights inside the unwanted lab so he can show Ji-charm there stealthily. There are 3 standards Ji-charm should observe. 1. No one should be aware of these classes. 2. No inquiries other than math. And 3. Hak-sung will show math, yet he would rather not hear anything about grades or tests. After Ji-charm vows to observe every one of the guidelines, Hak-sung gives him the principal workout, tracking down the region of a triangle. Ji-charm settles it rapidly, bringing up this as a center school issue, yet Hak-sung lets him know he's off base by drawing a round trip around the triangle. Feeling deceived, Ji-charm believes it's uncalled for in light of the fact that Hak-sung has given him some unacceptable inquiry, yet Hak-sung's point is that he's oncoming critical thinking the incorrect way. Indeed, finding the response it's significant, however understanding what the inquiry is, that is considerably more significant. Math is about the method involved with tracking down an answer. At the point when Ji-charm shows a comprehension of the idea, Hak-sung refers to it as epsilon as he has a flashback of how a more youthful he and a companion got an extravagant pen as an award for their scholastic achievement. Epsilon implies little and immaterial, unimportant even. After the class is finished, since Ji-charm actually doesn't have a spot to go, Hak-sung permits him to remain with him. Ji-charm finds that Hak-sung loves paying attention to traditional music on an old tape player, so they talk about old-style writers for some time, which assists Hak-sung with keeping away from Ji-charm's inquiries concerning his past. The tape is exhausted and has a terrible sound quality, so Ji-charm plays the tunes on his telephone, the nature of which captivates Hak-sung and assists him with dozing profoundly without precedent for a very long time. Truth be told, he remains in bed until late the following morning, and when he awakens, Ji-charm has proactively left for class. Mr. Kim has some significant news for his numerical understudies. Rather than having finals, his class will take part in the esteemed Pythagoras math rivalry, which will consider their test. The adolescents are upset about this since they just have 2 months to rehearse, yet Mr. Kim anticipates that they all should win gold. Ji-charm goes to see Hak-sung consistently for math classes, and Bo Smash starts seeing how frequently Ji-charm buys strawberry milk, as though he was a fiend. One night, there's an especially hard activity that Ji-charm has to know the method to tackle, yet Hak-sung makes sense of he anticipates that he should consider the whole physically. After 3 hours, Ji-charm figures out how to settle it, so Hak-sung shows him something uniquely great. Renowned mathematician Bernhard Riemann determined 38 decimals of the square base of 2 by hand to become personal with the tackling system, which you can't do simply by retaining a recipe. This is incredibly useful with regards to a superior comprehension of math. Hak-sung won't tell Ji-charm assuming his response is correct or wrong since his schoolwork will be to find it himself, that is the occupation of a mathematician. As the weeks pass, Ji-charm further develops his numerical abilities increasingly more consistently. One evening, he gets some staggering news. A dear companion and individual government assistance understudy is moving back to his outdated, conceding having come here was never worth the effort. Presently Ji-charm makes them remember to do about his own circumstance, and Bo Smash attempts to listen to him, however he feels like she's ridiculing him by expressing they're experiencing the same thing when she's really a rich youngster as well. Their discussion is intruded on when Bo Slam's mom comes to get her. At the point when they get in the vehicle, Bo Slam is chastened for spending time with a government assistance kid. Bo Smash is in fact on government assistance too in light of her separated from guardians, however she isn't on monetary guide, so it isn't exactly something very similar. Her mom likewise chides her for paying attention to piano music since she needs Bo Slam to focus on her examinations, so she's employed Mr. Kim to be Bo Smash's confidential coach, which is unlawful. Soon thereafter, Ji-charm enlightens Hak-sung regarding his companion and contemplates whether he ought to move as well. Hak-sung encourages him not to surrender and reminds him the main thing to succeed isn't insight, however courage to win until the end. To make his statement, he shows Ji-charm the activities he amended. While there are a few slip-ups in the last arrangements, the kid has accurately taken in the process to tackle them. That very evening, Ji-charm's suspension closes so he will return to the dormitories, yet he concedes missing imparting a space to Hak-sung. The following day, Bo Slam gives him strawberry milk with an expression of remorse note, and when he gets occupied, she follows him to the neglected lab and finds his mysterious. Subsequent to saying thanks to Hak-sung for dealing with Ji-charm, she inquires as to whether she can come over occasionally, and Hak-sung acknowledges as long as she stays quiet about it as well. Bo Smash additionally refers to him as Kami official, and this confounds Hak-sung. He might be from North Korea, yet he never served in the military. For an explanation he doesn't even try to make sense of, he was excluded. At that point, they notice a gathering of understudies sneaking around the grounds, yet having realized what befallen Ji-charm last time, Hak-sung chooses to fail to address it. Another night, Ji-charm asks Hak-sung for what valid reason he concentrated on math so hard. He makes sense of that from the get-go. He did it for the grant and the purpose of his family, yet the more he found out about it the more gorgeous he tracked down it, so he became hopelessly enamored with it. Then, at that point, they call Bo Slam to join Hak-sung at the piano so he can show her a cool little stunt, relegating a note to every digit. Both of them make a wonderful tune by playing the number pi. During the following numerical class, Ji-charm adjusts Mr. Kim's solution to an activity utilizing the rationale Hak-sung showed him erroneous inquiries. Nonetheless, Mr. Kim reproves him for it. The response might be right, yet it's not what the analyst planned, and that is the main thing the understudies need to stress over, giving the arrangement that is normal, not the one that is correct. Everything revolves around test strategy, however Ji-charm doesn't acknowledge this and answers he'll in any case offer the right response on the test. Taking into account him inconsiderate for such mentality, Mr. Kim makes him stand outside the entryway until the end of the class. A short time later, Ji-charm illuminates Mr. Kim that he will not be moving. In the early evening, during one more of Hak-sung's visits, Ji-cheol gives him a cell phone so he's simpler to find. Hak-sung joyfully shows it to Ji-charm later, and the kid can't resist the urge to see he's perusing long propositions on this small screen. To help, Ji-charm requests that a schoolmate slip him into the PC lab so he can print the whole record and gift it to Hak-sung. The following day is the Pythagoras test. Ji-charm is doing magnificent thanks to Hak-sung's examples, and keeping in mind that Bo Smash begins all around okay by recollecting the music, she before long gets disappointed. Pressure negatively affects her, and she winds up leaving the study hall without completing the test. Her mom makes her remain at home to keep away from disgrace and deceives the school, saying that they'll disappear out traveling. At the point when Ji-charm attempts to reach her, every one of his texts are overlooked. At night, Ji-charm and Hak-sung show up at a traditional show that Bo Smash got them free tickets for on the grounds that her family's organization supports it. Bo Slam never appears, however essentially Hak-sung appreciates it such a lot that he's moved to tears. A while later, Hak-sung welcomes Ji-charm to eat at his place, which makes Ji-charm understand this as whenever he first sees Hak-sung eat. That very evening, somebody releases the Pythagoras test on the web, creating problems for the instructors, who presently should find the understudy that made it happen on the off chance that they don't need the schooling board to fire them. In the meantime, Ji-charm and Hak-sung go to a bookshop to do some shopping, and an outsider perceives Hak-sung. This man likewise comes from North Korea and refers to Hak-sung as specialist, recalling that him from the days Hak-sung showed classes at the college he joined in. The man additionally refers to Hak-sung as the well-known numerical virtuoso and thinks Ji-charm is his child, which places them in an abnormal circumstance. Hak-sung thanks the individual for the memory and races to leave the store, declining to address Ji-charm's inquiries. At the point when he returns home, Hak-sung recalls the great times he used to have with his child Lee Tae-yun, such as eating together, getting the turtle, and purchasing strawberry milk since it was Tae-yun's number one. The following day, some significant news shows up on television. The Riemann speculation, perhaps of the main numerical issue, is going to be tackled by a renowned North Korean called Lee Hak-sung, that FAR's as yet progressing survey by a leading group of researchers. Teacher Gracious on television recounts the tale of how he entered a number-related Olympiad when he was a youngster and met Hak-sung, who addressed the North while Goodness addressed the South. The two of them were given an extravagant pen by a renowned mathematician. Gracious still has it right up to the present day. Both Ji-cheol and Ji-charm see the news, and it's Ji-charm that tracks down Hak-sung first to get some information about it. Nonetheless, Hak-sung blows up and asks him to at absolutely no point ever notice the Riemann speculation in the future. In the meantime, Mr. Kim is experiencing difficulty with the test occurrence since his standing is on the line, yet when a colleague surveys the security tapes after an understudy passed on certain reports, he tracks down his salvation. The next day, Mr. Kim calls Ji-charm to show him the recording of him escaping the PC lab for certain printed sheets in his grasp. Ji-charm attempts to make sense of that it's irrelevant, however he has no real way to demonstrate it. Between the tape proof and the reality he mysteriously turned out to be better at math in a couple of months, no one will trust him, so Mr. Kim offers him an arrangement. In the event that he acknowledges to move, he won't disclose his fault. Unfortunately, the bits of gossip about Ji-charm having done the releasing actually arrive at everybody's ears, and Bo Slam flies off the handle about it since she knows reality. Ji-cheol is having some difficulty of his own, as well. North Korea is furious that the South is taking Hak-sung's accomplishments, particularly since these disclosures are attached to military encryption, so the NIS needs Ji-cheol to persuade Hak-sung to show up on television to explain matters. Hak-sung's name is all around the news now, and an old partner even visits him to persuade him to get back toward the North together. In any case, he says something embarrassing when he concedes he's asking since bringing Hak-sung would procure him absolution as well, and just figures out how to outrage him by raising what has been going on with his child. Ji-cheol visits Hak-sung to apologize for not having the option to hold the NIS away from him, yet Hak-sung is as yet grateful for every one of the long periods of security. While Hak-sung's pressing to leave town, Ji-cheol gets back to him the archive with his examination, with Hak-sung attempted to discard a long time back and Ji-cheol saved it since being trash was excessively important. At that point, Ji-charm shows up also, however he chooses to remain outside when he hears shouting. Hak-sung is irate on the grounds that it was this exploration that cost him his child's life, so he will not put it on television. After Ji-cheol leaves, Ji-charm attempts to converse with Hak-sung, yet the elderly person just attacks him, declining to acknowledge they are anything closer than mentor and understudy. Thereafter, Ji-charm gets a call from esteemed Bo Smash, who doesn't see the reason why he's allowing them to approach him like this, yet he simply tells her it's finished and hangs up. Meanwhile, Hak-sung shows up at the bus stop, and when he assumes he saw his child's face on an irregular outsider, he starts to recall the night Tae-yun passed on. After he got into one more battle for shielding individual turncoats, Tae-yun started contending with his father, blaming him for having run away toward the south for narrow-minded reasons since he didn't do it when his mother was wiped out with tuberculosis. Hak-sung demanded he did it to give his child a superior life, yet Tae-yeon brought up that doing passage occupations and being dealt with like soil was a long way from a superior life for a researcher. In the wake of wishing his father to partake in his existence with just math as an organization, Tae-yeon took off and attempted to return to the north by swimming, yet he was shot immediately by Line Watch. Back to Ji-charm, he slips into his home to utilize her mom's stamp on the exchange papers while she's resting. The following morning, he hands the papers to Mr. Kim, who lets him know he made the best choice. Hak-sung is concealing in a lodging while Ji-cheol looks for him to take him to the television program, and he is shocked to get a call from Bo Smash educating him concerning Ji-charm's exchange. That evening is the Pythagoras Grand Service. Ji-charm is on out of the school, yet Bo Smash out of nowhere shows up and hauls him with her to the hall by taking his stuff. Teacher Gracious opens the service with a discourse about the as-of-late demonstrated hypothesis, and that is the second Hak-sung chooses to interfere, having surged over to the school subsequent to liberating his turtle on the river. He presents his pen as evidence of his personality, so Teacher Gracious gladly welcomes him and permits him to give a discourse as well. In the wake of poking a fun at his work as a gatekeeper, Hak-sung admits he was the one that showed Ji-charm math and presents the printed proposal as verification that he didn't release the test. He likewise uncovers that it was Mr. Kim that released the test to his confidential understudies, which makes Mr. Kim leave with outrage and disgrace. Then, at that point, Hak-sung shares a piece of his story. He deserted North Korea so he could concentrate on math appropriately, on the grounds that his own administration was utilizing his exploration to fabricate weapons. He maintains that his math should be utilized to secure positions and get into great universities, however such insatiability cost him his child's life. Hak-sung is embarrassed about his decisions, yet Ji-charm never viewed him as such and remained faithful to his mysterious until the end regardless of whether it would cost him his future. Crying, Hak-sung apologizes and says thanks to Ji-charm for having faith in him, and such discourse makes Ji-cheol, who has been listening from the start, leave without getting some information about the television interview he really does anyway hang tight for Hak-sung outside and deal him a ride. Subsequent to discarding the cell phone he had gifted him, Ji-cheol uncovers a little treat for Hak-sung, a new, lawful visa that marks Hak-sung as a South Korean resident, and tickets for him to leave town so the NIS can't track down him for some time. Ji-cheol will most likely get terminated for it, yet he believes it's worth the effort. In a little while, Ji-cheol visits Ji-charm to give him the gift Hak-sung left for him, the popular pen and the primary draft of his postulation. After 3 years, Ji-charm and his school class visit the renowned Oberwolfach Exploration Foundation for Math. Hak-sung is working there now, and Ji-charm shocks him with some strawberry milk and an embrace prior to plunging into a meaningful conversation about math.